Good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Based, and joining me, our co-hosts Garrett Punchy Dill and Maceo Dill. Good evening, gentlemen. It's been FA Cup weekend. Let me just run down the scores as we have them. From Friday evening, it was Tough Dogs 1, St. George's Colts 11, Footy Kings 0, North Village Rams 2, and that was after extra time. Young Guns Sound 4, Boulevard Blazers 2, Wolves 1, PHC Zebras 8, Crossroads 3, Denny Town Hornets 2, Devonshire Colts 1, Paget Lions 2, Hamilton Parish 4, Robin Hood 1. And we do have a match getting underway as we speak, and that is at the Devonshire Recreation Club, where the Devonshire Cougars are taking on the Somerset Trojans. Well, gentlemen, let's get into this weekend show. We'll start with the Friday night encounters and that first match. St. George's Colts defeating Tough Dogs from the Corona League 11-1. We've noted of late that St. George's has this front line that can be very troublesome for Premier Division teams. Your thoughts on that front line, kind of putting away this Corona League team, Punchy?
Earl, I work alongside of one of St. George's players. I'm not going to his name anyway, and we were discussing this game. And what was most important, the information I could give them was that you guys have got to act correctly. Act like you're playing against a senior team, a premier team, and I think you need the first 15. As soon as the game starts, make sure you show intent. And I think they did that from the start. What I did like about that result, no matter, even though we saw it's 11, but it's a mentality. When you score 11 goals and you still perform well, even though they're playing against Tough Dogs, of course. But I just thought the approach, the mental approach to the game was good. And I am very happy that St. George has taken that another step. And what they did the other night was exactly what I thought they should handle their game like. Purposeful, knowing this is what we're about, the intent. We're going to the next round. And from the beginning, they set the tone from the beginning. And that's what I saw. Kudos to them and what they want to do. And I tell you, St. George is going to be. They had the hiccups against the PHC, but that what Friday night was actually what I thought they're heading in the right direction.
Maceo, your thoughts on the score line? St. George is putting 11 past Tough Dogs.
Yeah, I think Punch said it. I think he said it all, right? Yeah, is the most important thing is the mentality to beat a team like that. It shouldn't. A Corona League team shouldn't be able to hang with St. George's with the quality of strike force that they have. It signals the intention that their players might be getting up for the FA Cup, because I doubt if they'll win the league. I don't think they'll win the league. So for St. George's to be considered a football club, they have to win a football trophy. They have to win a football trophy, not just a football game. And winning a football trophy could potentially make them hungry going into next season. If they want to build an empire or build a football culture in their ranks, they have to win a football trophy. And I can't tell you the last time St. George's has won a football trophy.
They won the friendship. They beat Devonshire 1-0.
Yeah. So, they have to do that, right?
Yeah. So, then obviously North Village took on Footy Kings in the nightcap match that ended 0-0 after regulation time, and then went to extra time with North Village scoring twice. Footy Kings did miss a penalty late that would have equalized the game, but then they conceded a goal in the last minute. I noted that the coach on his Instagram page was not pleased with the overall performance of the team. Happy to advance, but not pleased with the overall performance of the team. But you look at it, it's a cup game. interesting matchups when you've got, and I said this to you last week, Maceo, you had North Village Cup winners. They might be a little older, playing against North Village guys who haven't won much. So your thoughts on this particular match?
I actually think it's ridiculous at North Village. I think it's ridiculous, and for the coach to put his players out there, I think let's just talk about preparation of a team. You know, Kenny as a coach professes to be a fitness guy. At least North Village should beat 40 Kings on fitness. So if they don't beat them on fitness, they can take a 40 Kings to extra time. That's a problem. That's a big problem, and that's a big problem in the preparation or the players that he has at his disposal. They should at least been able to blow him away on fitness. I understand the fear factor that they would have taken to the game playing Axe players. They would have been playing Axe North Village players that have a little bit of experience, but that also paints a bigger picture than North Village. It paints a bigger picture that there is not a big gap in quality or results with Axe players such as 40 Kings and the league contenders in North Village, that they can push them to extra time. And then the only reason they get out of it because you got a DJ Bow. So kudos to a DJ Bow that you got a DJ Bow that can save a penalty. But I think North Village, Kenny, the coach, they should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed to have to be pushed this far from a 40 Kings. I don't care if it's Rolfie, Jerome Barry. That should be, for me, I'm embarrassed as a North Village person. And I'll give a bit of history. I get a bit of history, the difference in mentality. You know, the difference in mentality. There was a year that North Village had to play Hamilton Parish in an FA Cup game. And the hype around the FA Cup game that Hamilton Parish was bringing back the old Corey Hill, Sean Deal, Irvin Burgess. And that was hyping up the game, right? And these guys were playing commercial league at the time. At that time, North Village beat them 10-0. They beat them 10-0 because it's a bit of pride, it's preparation that's going into that. So
I remember the same thing happened in the final, and North Village beat them 2-1 or 3-1.
And that was the year before, right? And the year before, North Village wasn't in a good space as a club. It wasn't in a good space as a club. And that was a year before me and Streaker took over. North Village was in disarray at that time as well. So for somebody that has the history of North Village, we've been speaking of it all the time. Even North Village winning, where Punch has not been happy with it, because people like Punchy, people like myself, are the people that have been at North Village doing quality times that are actually set certain standards. The standard is not there, and this shows that the standard is not there.
Right, but in defense, and we've all had times of coaching, you could prepare your team, but if they go out there in a state where they decide. But hold on, let me finish.
That means you're not prepared them. That's what that means.
Well, you got to remember, you're dealing with players who are not professional. So it's one thing. It's one thing to say we have a plan and we're going to execute this plan. But if the players decide, you know what, maybe we could beat these guys, and they get into that rut.
So now you got to make a decision. If the coaches lost the changing room, because this is what that means. That means the coaches lost the changing room. What happens when the coaches lost the changing room? If the coaches because they are not lost the changing room, then the players will do what you got to do. So what that says, what you're telling me, is that the coaches lost the changing room, and he will continue to
I don't think I said that. I just think that sometimes players go out with other frame of mind.
I'm actually saying it that the coaches lost the changing room because the players wouldn't implement. So now decisions got to be made if a coaches lost the changing room and they can't perform against the 40 Kings. And we can reverse that with a Rolfie now that has probably gained the changing room. Has gained the changing room after taking certain struggles. So what I'm saying is the coaches lost the changing room. So no matter how good he is tactically, and then to put out there and not take accountability for his preparation or lack of preparation, that's going to lose the players even more. Now, I can go into details that I know. I'm not going to go into details that I understand, but it's clear to me that the coaches lost the changing room. Has lost the changing room.
Punchy, your thoughts. Your thoughts on this result.
I'm going back even to last week. Adon at St. David's. There's a lack of quality in certain parts of the. Right now, what I see in Norfolk, I knew it was going to show. I knew it was going to show up. But what I'm most concerned about is you got this great Detroit Bell. I think our back line is. I think the back four is very solid. It's in the middle of the park. Kenny must be pulling his hair out. He must. I know he's frustrated because see, as Maceo, you're playing in positions. What I saw against Buzzwood was also carried on the other night against 40 Kings. Now, when you examine Norfolk's team, look in the midfield area and ask me, well, Trey Mean, okay, yes. Okay, what would you play Trey Mean? But the other two guys, I'm sorry, make sure I can't call the names. One guy came from Thompson Eagle, you know, and then this other guy that came from Denny Tom. From
Chemo. You're talking about Chemo.
Right. I'm telling you earlier, Maceo, they were poor. The execution, the passing, as playing in midfield, there's not a dynamic there that I saw, which was also evident against Crossroads. And I'm pointing fingers at maybe not the coaching, but the players. Quality. And I don't see it there. And, you know, when they started the first of the season, they were getting by. I said, well, it's going to be this, you know, defensively. Now the goals are going in. Then you start saying, well, okay, where are we going to score goals to? And I'm going to add this to this also. I'm on pro Norfolk, of course. Once those youngsters went back, once he wiped, remember, when the youngsters are going back to school now, look who was scoring the goals. Look who were providing goals. And so what I saw the other night was the perfect what's happening in Norfolk, what I feel is where they're at. If Jazern Smith, I don't think he's still not scoring enough goals. It's still him and I'm calling it even Jelly. It also they're having a problem. They're senior players. And I didn't see that in the game on Friday night. And for me, I still think Norfolk are good at the back. I think I think there's still quality there. Not a lot of teams are breaking them down. But what I see lacking is especially in the middle of the park to the front. And that's where the problem lies. The missing goals, some of the goals that they missed the other night, but still the finished product of the team is not there. It's just not there. And again, I'm saying to you, as a wide player, I always question Jelly. I'm questioning the midfield that we have. And that's where it's lacking. Creativity. The last pass in the top third. It's poor. It's not good enough.
I'm being accused.
That's my point. I'm not talking about the coach. I'm talking about the player.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the coach. I've been accused of not giving facts, right? Because we always look at everything in isolation. We look at this game in isolation. But if you look at North Village as a bigger picture in Kenneth Tanager, you had players there that have left the club for whatever reason. They left the club that could do a role. Now the players that are come in with Kenneth Blassick. These are players that has had in youth years come in. So North Village type players. If you talk about Shekai, Casey, and even you had Dimitri.
Daniels.
Huh?
Daniels.
Yeah. Dimitri Daniels.
So when you go back as players that you had at the club that are not at the club for whatever reason, then you have to look at it as a big picture. Then you have to also look at selection of players in certain positions. That the rhythm of the game is not right. The rhythm of the game is not right. And I can see that the rhythm of the game is right. And this is why I put the responsibility at the feet of the North Village Association and the North Village Club, as well as the coach. So these are players that he's brought in. Like some of the players that he brought in, others, And I just say under proper North Village standard, I'm not going to, under proper North Village, they wouldn't be able to wear a red jersey. Some of these players won't get a red jersey. But these are the players that the club is allowed to come in. These are the players that the coach is allowed to come in. So now they're going to be accountable for those decisions that they made. And the accountability lies with the organization of North Village and the coach to get that result. The players are only capable of what they're capable of, and they're really not capable. They're not capable players right now. And it's a bigger picture. And we'll get into the bigger picture and we go into the other clubs. And I'll agree with the bigger picture. There's one not developed in this country capable players.
Not just at North Village? Not just at North Village, you're saying?
Not just at North Village. We haven't developed capable players in this country. We haven't developed capable players in this country. We haven't developed it in the last 20 years.
Okay. All right. We're going to take our first commercial. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with tonight's Island Stats Football Show. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this? John Barrett & Son is bringing us something fresh and exciting for the new year. Bai Antioxidant Infusion Beverage. Bai delivers the natural antioxidant benefits of the coffee fruit in glorious combination with a variety of exotic fruit flavors, with only 1 gram of sugar and 10 calories per bottle. The folks at Bai are inviting us on a world tour through these amazing flavors. Brasilia blueberry, Zambia Bing cherry, Costa Rica clementine, Malawi mango, Panama peach, Ipanema pomegranate, Kupang strawberry kiwi, and more. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, let's move on to the Saturday night game. And that was another Corona League team, Young Gun Sounds, taking on a Premier Division team, Boulevard Blazers. We all know Boulevard are right now in a crisis. Several of the senior players are not playing. But I asked you this last week, Maceo, if Boulevard lose, is this the end of Jomar? So, Boulevard leading 2-0, lost 4-2. Is this the end of Jomar at Boulevard?
My response was same as last week. He should walk away if it's not the end. If they don't say it's the end, he should understand the hole that is sinking in. And again, is this an example of Jomar losing the changing room? And if you lose the changing room, if you lose the changing room because you can't relate to the players and you can't get your message across from the player, and I keep saying that's what coaching is about. Coaching is not about knowing the game, because we all know it. We all know it the way how we like it. Coaching is about, can you convince these players that are the most important resource to the game? because nobody comes to see the coach, nobody comes to see the media, nobody comes to see the presidents. They come to see the players. Can you convince these players to implement what you are thinking? And the answer with Joe Ma right now is no. He's lost the changing room. Do you have the skill set? Do you have the knowledge to convince the players? And the answer is no. We could just look at Arsenal today. That coach is convincing the players, isn't it? He's convincing the players, and last year he wasn't, right? Last year he wasn't convincing the players. This year he's convincing the players to dig down deep in situations, and they're all on board. And maybe next year you might not convince them. You know, that's coaching. Coaching is the ability to convince the players. And how do you incentivize? How do you give them incentives? How do you motivate them? So Jamal should walk away from this. This is another embarrassing score, right?
Punchy, the fact that this Corona team was down 2-0 in the first half, fought back to 2-2 at halftime, and then scored two goals in the second half. What does that say about these guys? I know, you know, even when we had the draw, when the draw was made, the coach or the president was at the draw, and the first thing he says, well, one thing's for sure, we all know the Boulevard guys because we're all mates. We all grew up together. So, you know, he figured it was the best draw for him. And look, now they're still in the FA Cup.
Yeah, that was Well, you saw the piece in the paper what he said. They coming out all guns blazing, and when I read that, I was like, whoa. He was so convinced that they could beat Boulevard. And look what it is. Look what happened. My concern is Boulevard and what is happening there. And I am with Maceo again. I think Joe Ma, I don't know why he took that job. The culture of the club, what they declined the club in the last 10 or 15 years, it's really cause for concern for our country in terms of development and where they're going. But again, it's going to be a real, when the draw comes out tomorrow, I think the draw's going to be made tomorrow. I'm sure of that, right?
I don't know.
Anyway, what a result, huh? From 2-0 down and the win 4-2. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, they were really up for it. And it's an FA Cup. So, you know, you got a one-off, you got more togetherness at your club. And we're just saying, well, what's the demise of Boulevard? The demise of them. What's good on them? But you know, I'm hoping the next draw draws them against another top team, another Premier team. Whoa.
Yeah. They should just, in my opinion, the Premier clubs should just be fitter than these Corona League clubs. But the evidence is there that they're not.
They're just not. Yeah, very good.
The evidence is there. They should just beat the game because of fitness, man. Even if they're not the same, they should just beat the game because of fitness and strength. But the evidence is there that the Corona League might not be, the top Corona teams might not be no different from the top Premier League teams. That is alarming.
Well, that's a good point, Nikhil. In terms of
if this country don't see that as alarming,
it's very alarming. Because
but then the same could be said if a first division team beats a Premier Division team.
Well, the first division team is still suggesting that they're training and they'll get promoted to the senior
But in the same breath, the game is a little faster in the Premier Division than it is in the first division. Would you agree?
Well, I'm suggesting that it should be, and PHC proves that to Wolves, the top,
right?
You know, PHC proves that to Wolves because PHC is doing a lot of correct stuff, but it's not happening across the board, right? It's not happening across the board, right?
Yeah, if you look at it, our history has proven that there have been major upsets in the FA Cup final, and that's globally. You have some minnows and some non-league teams who will come up against a Premier Division team and come away with a victory. So, you know, I mean, yeah, you're saying one thing about they should win it off of fitness, but the game, the Bulls run, everybody's got this after the same thing, and the team that scores the most on the day actually wins.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the FA Cup throws up these type of things, but it goes down to the mentality, and the different. I think the difference with us is that we don't get alarmed by it.
Right.
In another environment is alarming. People get ridiculed. People lose jobs. People, stuff changes because of this. We don't get alarmed by it. We accept it as normal. Like I would be embarrassed if I was a coach that I had to sit through this.
Well, actually, Earl and Maceo, we saw this coming for Boulevard. It was coming. It's now it's like, well, look exactly where they're at. Look just as disorganized they are, where they're going, and so this result today just put the nail in the coffin for them. My problem is with Juma, where his career is going. What's he gonna do? Because will he stay? What will he do now? What will he do now? And I think he still has the credentials to move on and take over another club. He could still say, hey, tomorrow I'll see you guys later. And I think he'd be a good fit. I think he'd be a good fit for a team like Wolves, even though what happened to them today. But it's just sad. It's just sad what has happened at Boulevard, and it's sad for the country, really. I keep thinking that it's in the Premier League, and even though it's an FA Cup, I just thought that Boulevard had a little bit more than that to lose like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the Wolves PHC match. PHC would score 5 times in the second half. Wolves, I watched a bit of that match. They found themselves in the game 2-1, but PHC's, I would say, the way they have been playing of late led them to score those extra goals. There was a period of the game where it was a bit scrappy, especially in the first half, where teams were giving the ball away. There were tackles going in, but PHC created so many chances that in the first half they could have been leading at least 6-1, but it was only 3-1 at halftime. But then having that what they consider in St. George's the win at their back for the second half, they kind of took Wolves to the cleaners. And scoring 8 goals. But, you look at a team like PHC who's coming off of a big win last week against Devonshire Cougars, putting themselves at the top of the table. Is this another statement for them, Maceo?
Well, PHC's put a bit of pride back in the Premier League, right? Everybody should call PHC and thank them for putting a bit of pride back into the Premier League. That they beat a club like they should beat a club. PHC and St. George's. Everybody should make calls to PHC and St. George's that they upheld the standard of the Premier League. But I want to segue a little bit. The other day, Saturday, and let me tell you why PHC is in the position they're in, because I'm going to speak around leadership. I'm going to speak around leadership from the coaching staff. I'm going to speak around leadership from the club administration, and I'm going to speak around leadership from the captain, Marco Warren. So I saw Marco Warren on Saturday as I was going down to Coney Island in the water, just on Bay Corner. And I'm saying, who's this guy getting in the water? So he's getting in the water to manage his body in the cool water. People might say that's crazy, right? Bermudians might call that crazy, that in the middle of the winter he's getting in the cool water to manage his body. So he's implementing football and athletic behaviors to go with the talent. And they're put people around them, such as look at PHC, who PHC allowed to leave their club, and we thought it was over. Sequoia, Robinson, Trey Mean, a heap of players left PHC to go over to Paget. Look what they're doing. So if we dissect that, if we start to really, really dissect that, and look what they had confidence that they're bringing through in their youth, if we start to dissect that, we'll see a club doing the right things. How long they can do it for is another story. But a club that's doing the right things. And you remember I said at the beginning of the season about how I saw PHC. They disappointed me that they didn't get off to a fast start. You know, they let Antoine Russell leave last year. But again, this is a club that's making decisions that's for the betterment of football, and you see it happening on the football field. So we shouldn't be surprised about it. This is just not coming down with the last y'all reign. PHC's been building this for the last 20 years, so probably in it. And I had the heartaches as a club, you know, as all the clubs do, right? So we have to respect that, and we have to pay attention. Other clubs have to pay attention to what it looks like. It's not a quick fix. It's not just bringing in some players, what Jamal's doing, or let's call it the Vasco model. It's not a quick fix. So doesn't surprise me. But everybody call PHC and say thank you for putting some pride back in the senior league, the Premier League.
I mean, Punchy, Wolves would have gone into this game feeling good about themselves, being top of the first division, but they got a reality check of what if they are to maintain the position they're in and get one of those promotion spots. They got a taste of what that other division is like today. Where do you see Wolves going from here?
That's a real thrasher. And again, I'm adding to what Maceo said about commitment, about quality, about leadership in the team. If your captain's doing that, well, they could tell you what PHC are. But Wolves, again, who's in charge of the team, the direction they're going in. I wonder if Troy Tucker played today.
Yeah, he played. He played,
yeah. But he couldn't stop that onslaught.
No.
And that's really important to recognize. And these results, what we discussed, is really important because how that is achieved. The standard, what Wolves are used to playing at that the division they're playing in, they can be up there, play bare game, and beat Somerset Eagles 6-0, and think that's great. Oh, that's good. Or they go and beat Wabanor 2-1. I think is great. It's good. They're playing against. There was a reality check today, and I'm very glad that what happened, because they're not managed well. It's going on the days that you just show these good little gifted players come play, and then they're gonna do something. They're gonna do some. Wolves has got these magic players. These players that can play, and I call them good yard ballers. Yeah, but the organization at Wolves, that's what the problem is. Will they go? And it shows you they're in contention to be get promoted.
Yes.
Like, so it will be the same thing. Who would be in charge of that team to take them to another level? And that's similar what we're talking about, social club, something like that. It's like when you come up against this, now this is the reality of it all. On a Sunday afternoon, you got to go play against Denny Tom at the home field or North Village. No Wolves is that it doesn't work, and they just got a reality check today.
Well, one thing's for sure, Punchy. You got a guy sitting with us that will probably put his name in the hat to coach Wolves next year.
Yeah.
You're giving no names. Somebody.
Hey, if they just need organization, the job's here, isn't it?
Oh, it's interesting. Everybody says that about me, right? Everybody wants to see me coach a senior team, right? Because obviously I have a mouth. I say and they want me to back it up. I'm more interested in football development than winning a senior game. Like I'm more interested in the long haul of developing football in this country than going to prove again that I can win at a certain level. I don't think I'll be any different from these coaches because they're incapable players, and because we're not developing them. They're incapable players. Like, that's how I feel about coaching at the senior level.
So currently, right now, you're not involved with a club helping at the youth level.
No,
is that right?
I'm not been involved helping our club at the youth level for 4 years now, because we wouldn't change anything we do at the youth level. So we can spend all these times at the youth level. We don't change it. We don't create capable players. We don't create capable players. We don't create capable coaches. We don't create. So Why
So
am I
what?
gonna,
So let me ask you this question.
I got
Before we go to this commercial break, let me ask you this question. Would it make sense to get into a club at a senior level and then move down to the youth level just to get into a club?
I tried that. I did that at North Village. I've done that before. Done that and done that. If I can't do that at my parent club, at my family club, you think PATs can listen to me, or you think Boulevards can listen to me? If people at North Village after winning don't listen to me, you think as an outsider,
You never know. You never know. Are you willing to give it a chance? Are you willing to give it a try?
Hey, Earl, one thing I do, I know us Bermudians. I know it. And I learned it the hard way. I learned who we are the hard way. I learned, and I'm going to use it where I'm going to learn our cultural enslavement and our cultural stubbornness. We're not going to change what we do.
Right.
I've been courted by clubs, right? And I'm not quoting. I got courted by a club, and the club president was like, "I need you to come down here. I know what you bring. I want to bring this here." One of the fans heard the club president say that, and went into a tirade on me. We don't want that guy down there. He destroyed North Village. He did this. He did that. We're not gonna change what we do, man. We're not gonna change what we do. And at this point in my life, I don't even know if I have, at 50 years old, I don't know if I have the energy to take on the fight to change their mind no more. They have to decide that.
So what you're saying is one fan deterred you from taking on the president's wish?
It's not one fan. I know the whole culture of it would do it. I know the culture of it, and I think we need from the BFA down, we need a cultural shift. I saw cricket say they need a cultural shift. They're bringing in a psychology guy. Okay, that's a good step, but there were very good comments about cricket. Okay, you're bringing a psychology guy for your senior team, but you should take those resources and deal with 5-year-olds. And I can keep going back to, as people start to identify who I am. I got asked at the highlight of my career to come and coach the Hawks. I told those guys no. You know what I told them? I said, what you should do at the Hawks, go identify all the women that are pregnant with boys and start right there. Start right there and build. Because if you think you're gonna build from the players at this level that already set in their way, you're not. So the Hawks lost a lot of money, a lot of time learning that the hard way. And if you remember my history in football, after winning all the trophies with Streaker, me and Streaker winning everything at the senior level, I went coach PVs. That's when I realized you got to develop kids from 5 years old so they don't become the players at 20 years old. And I realized the whole structure of our football is wrong. So in last perfect period, I'll be a part of a conversation that changes the structure. I'll be a part of that. Let's be part of something that changes the structure of football. That's what I can be a part of.
But you got to get involved in the club in order to do so, or get involved somewhere. You can't be on the outside all the time. You gotta put yourself inside one of the clubs first. In order to make change, you gotta be involved. You can't making change outside. It can't happen.
I could be a pundit right here, and have you there. I could be a pundit. The pundits change the dynamics. They put pressure on coaches. They put pressure on the organization. So I could be a pundit. It's less painful for me as a pundit. It's less painful. I just come on the show. I can come on this show at 6 o'clock on Sundays after going for a nice ride on Sunday mornings, had a good breakfast, and be a pundit. And go watch a couple of football games, and I can be a pundit.
Okay.
Versus being put up on a dartboard. I've been asked to come down to North Village, and you know what my answer was? You guys want to put me back up on a dartboard and throw darts at me because I have a different idea? No way. You're not gonna put me back up on a dartboard and just throw darts at me.
Well,
imagine
it was a picture of you, right? It was a picture of you. It wasn't actually you, right?
Huh?
It was a picture of you, not actually you, right?
No, it's a figure of speech. It's a figure of speech. Yeah.
Because one might say every week you put Kenny on a dartboard and throw darts.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's my rule right now.
Yeah, well, that's just like the pundits. Like, I'm glad we're having these conversations because people are gonna, in a country this small, people are going to be listening to the show. I would like to go back into coaching right now too, but I can't. I just don't know the time. But it's because of this show that we are all expressing our opinions on what we've learned over the years. And I think in terms of that, we will be criticized, of course, and we will get our fingers pointed at, because people pointing at my fingers in my face. I can't begin to tell you. Speak about Maceo and his comments. But in all honesty, I think before we go to commercial, I think what we're all trying to do is make sure that we can pinpoint the problems that exist in our country that have been overlooked. And I think that's what the show, what we're trying to do here, along with talking about the teams and the scoreline. But it's still a very good. We will be criticized for making these comments, but just like on Sky Sports and stuff like that, some of those coaches, like when you listen to Graham Souness, you listen to the guys that are coaching, you listen to all these guys. Oh yeah, of course they're gonna make comments about what's going wrong. So what's going wrong with these teams? And I think it's very important for us, as I feel, that we do have a say in terms of this is what I think. And it's not been done. So it's still, the show is still, at least we're getting interest. People say, yeah, I don't know anybody throwing darts at me right now. I don't know. Maybe the pageant president, he didn't speak to me today when he came past me. He didn't speak. He usually looks for me, but he didn't speak to me today.
He's probably still catching his breath from just beating Colts 2-1. But let's take this commercial break. We'll get back into more of the Football Show. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Here's one of our favorite feature brands, true veterans of the food awareness movement. Bob's Red Mill, the U.S. leading miller of organic whole grain foods. Only whole grains have the entire value developed during growth, and once you try them, you know that this is the way food was intended to be. Try Bob's Red Mill blanched almond, whole wheat pastry, and artisan bread flours, and 1-to-1 gluten-free baking flour, unsweetened shredded coconut, gluten-free homemade wonderful bread mix.
And welcome back. Maceo,
Just real quick on the point you made, because you made the point that to change something you have to get on the inside, right? Of it to change it. And I actually want to put out there that the clubs need a thought process on the outside of them. They now need a thought process because that thought process on the inside is the same. They need somebody different to come and help them. And that's why I like that cricket recognized, okay, they needed to bring somebody in They, cricket's brought in somebody that's a foreigner that's outside of it, and they're brought in a psychologist people because they need somebody with a different thought process than what's on the inside now.
It's interesting because when you brought that up, right, you realize the Bermuda Football Association had a local person doing it for them, and it helped a lot of the players during that Nation League run. And one of the things when the cricket board came up with having a foreign person coming in and doing it, after you've seen the success of the local person doing it, I had a concern.
Yeah. And I don't have that same concern as interacting with foreigners. I don't have that same concern, and I know we are patrons of us locally, but I don't have the same concern about interacting with foreigners to learn to do certain things. Now, the question has to be said: will we actually learn? Will we actually learn? Are we open to learning from a foreigner? That's another question, right?
Well, and apparently he's already been here, so why don't we just need to ask the other players who we worked with prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, and we have to gauge. For me, I don't give away the idea of something that's successful very easy. Like, I have a different opinion about what we call successful because we have a nice hype run.
Mm-hmm.
The Gold Cup was a nice hype run. I mean, if we dissect the Gold Cup, we qualify for the Gold Cup because the qualifying standards changed, because the Nations League changed the standards. So we qualify for it, and because the standards changed to qualify for it. And we got in there. And for me, as a detailed football people, we made the same mistakes that lost games that were made for the last 40 years. We made the same mistakes. And then, yes, we looked like we was hyped. We looked all things, but we made the same mistakes.
However, because you know what's funny? You saw just how Adrian Robson used to sound. Because the standards changed, we made the World Cup. However, if we didn't make it with the standards change, we would be the dumbest people in the world.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit
because the rules changed meant that others had an opportunity to qualify. We qualified.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit more patriotic than Adrian Robinson, and I'm going to say it. People's not going to like it. I liked when he reported. I like his criticism. I didn't get flustered by his criticism of us. I actually liked Adrian Robinson criticism, and I know we didn't like it. And if we look at longevity, what happened to cricket after the World Cup, we look at what's happening to our national team after the Gold Cup. I'm talking about building something that's sustainable, that it doesn't keep going up and down. And certain changes in our cultural shift towards sports has to change. Like, for instance, it shouldn't be deemed that Marco Warren's not a Bermudian or is not crazy because he's going swimming in the middle of it. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't be saying things like that. We should be saying, "Yeah, look at what he does." Because everybody else goes swimming. Everybody else, if foreigners come here, they go swimming, and we Bermudians don't go swimming in the winter time. And swimming is so helpful for us.
Yeah, we have a comment. It's a shame that with all your vision and foresight that you're not willing to at least give another attempt at implementing change, especially considering we all agree that our standards are outdated.
Yeah, and I agree with him that it is a shame and it's a stain on a legacy of mine. But I have to think about my health, my health, and all those things, and how that now. And it's not like I'm giving up the plot, because I'm at a place at Youth and Sports where I can help sports holistically. Like I can really impact sports at that place. So it's not like I'm totally out of it. I'm actually more in it now, than I was before, because I see it from a different whole angle. And the angle that I see in sports in Bermuda is that sports has to become legalized. Because if sports becomes legalized, then we have legal standards of implementing it, and it's not based on politics. It's not based on an era, and legal standards just from the perspective. Okay, if you coach sports, you got to be qualified. And this is what qualifications looks like. And legal standards from this is how we're going to fund sports. So I'm not lost. My effort towards sports is not lost.
Right.
It's definitely not lost. But
Okay.
to go in the grind of everyday coaching at a football club that I know already they're not going to take on what I bring. I already know. And the only dartboard that I will put myself on, so the public knows, the only dartboard that I'll put myself on, and I'm said it enough time, is at the national level. That's the only dartboard. You could put me up against the dartboard at the national level and throw darts at me, and I'll commit to that level. and I'll commit to girls, coaching the girls. I'll commit to the under 12s or whatever. That's the level I'll commit to. But let's see if that happens.
All right, let's get back to football. Just an update from Devonshire Recreation Club. It is Devonshire Cougars 0, Somerset Trojans 1.
Oh, wow.
So, down at Lords and St. David's, Crossroads Revival continues as they advance in the FA Challenge Cup, following a 3-2 win over the Dendy Town Hornets. Crossroads, Punchy, have over the last couple of weeks really have gained a lot of confidence with results, even though some of those results beforehand they were just being edged out, but now they're turned those 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 losses into 3-2, 2-1, 1-0 wins.
Yeah.
How does that affect the whole outfit of Crossroads and the transformation?
I think what I witnessed last Sunday against North Village, the effort, the continuous effort, even though when it's been bad, it's not been timed, the results have not been there with Gumbo, what he wants to achieve. And good thing about him, he's always asking questions, what else he could do. It's very good. He would ask me questions, what I think. But I think what was work is the attitude and the work rate and the belief. Now, if you were drawing these games and then you get this, or you get the goal, then Donovan starts scoring goals. But the whole effort that I saw last Sunday, Donis and Davids, was I can applaud him for that. Remember, they don't have a whole lot of good players. I sometimes look around some of these players and what institution of football did they come from? But it's not to say that they're bad.
Right.
But I don't think they have a whole lot of gifted institutionalized footballers there. You take Shea Brinkman and what's it, Donovan
Thompson.
Donovan Thompson, which I still think he has a lot to learn in terms of how he could have really decisive clinical finishing could have finished off North Village last week. But again, Gumbo with winning, withdrawing, with getting the odd results, it's just steps. And he understands that. And I think the players at Crossroads are showing that. And again, when I go back to what I was saying about the belief system, they run after everything, they tackle, you can see them speaking to one another, they're not embarrassing, they work hard, and it's working for them. And I think that's what Gumbo's getting across to them. Yeah. And like I said, it's Shea Brinkman and it's the center for Donovan. And then the rest of them, I'm asking, well, okay, Paul, what else do they have? But it's just the charisma, the character in the team. It's helping. That helps a lot. The character in the team.
Yeah. Macy, you're looking at Dendy Town. At the beginning of the season, you had a lot of high hopes for them. Right now, what's your thoughts?
I mean, hold on. At the beginning of the season, I didn't have high hopes for them because I knew they got what they wanted. They lost certain players. Right. They changed coaching. I keep saying it. The only coach that's repeated is Scott Morden. That's the only coach that's repeated. No one else has done that. So I didn't really have high hopes. I didn't think they was going to be this bad. I didn't think that Danny Town was going to be this bad. This is bad. This is bad for Dandy Town. And it's interesting. I'm saying we can't do proper internal investigations and be a media source in rather be Roy Gazette, rather be this show, rather be that we do deep dives. We do a deep dive into what's really going on. and we also do a deep dive into how teams are getting successful. Like, I'll be just knowing Ralph Gumbo being is a winner. He wants to win and he prefers to win. That's the difference. I've coached our Gumbo and he prefers to win. He doesn't just come out here and say, I'm got talent and I'm going to win. Like when he played football, he trained. He kept himself in good health. He was always fit. He could score a goal in the last 5 minutes of the game because it's fitter and he can get in a spot that other people won't get in because they're tired. So I would think of that mentality that has probably got that same mentality now as a coach where he wants to win and is going to find a way to win. He's going to find a way and maybe has found a way to win and stay in games outside of what was culturally normal to him playing expensive football. So immediately what we see that is not giving up as much goals as him. So his team probably not as open as they used to be. Again, it's a shame we can't do deep dives into it and figure out. But Danny Tan's sinking fast. I did have a conversation with one of their fans, and even the fans that deflated, they know, like, do we just regroup? And one of the fans is saying they could be 10 years before we get back to the level again, depending on what they're developing behind the scenes in their youth, right? So it's it'd be interesting to see what Dante Lavrock brings to him. That would be interesting to see if he brings something to him going into next year, right?
Sure. The next match was the old First Division match that featured Devonshire Colts and Robin Hood. Robin Hood edged Devonshire Colts, came from 1-0 down to defeat Devonshire Colts 2-1 to advance. Obviously, Devonshire Colts coming off of a high. Anytime you win 5-0 over a team, despite who the team is, you would feel good about yourself. And the fact that they're now playing a team who has been dominating matches, but still not top of the table due to having not played not played all their matches. But taking on a team like Paget and then taking the lead. So for Devonshire Colts, Punchy, they would have felt good about themselves right up until halftime, and they were leading 1-0.
Yeah, and then Antoine Russell comes on the field, and that makes a difference. That makes a difference. What I see at Devonshire Colts, no. Quality-wise, leadership-wise, he must be, Ray Jones must be wondering exactly what he's got there. I don't see a whole lot of quality with Devonshire Colts. You don't see even like what their institution was about. What the institution of Devonshire Colts football, and it was very, very noticeable too. They were poor today, even though they got a big penalty. They were still poor. They give the ball away a lot. They're just not. I can't see no progress with Devonshire Colts. I haven't seen them step up to another level. Even if they were promoted, they'll be back down. Now, my thing is here. I looked at the numbers on the bench that Devonshire Colts have. You had about 6. You see all these. You see them all there, but I still don't see no quality there. I can't pinpoint Oh, they have a good style. They have a good quality players. It's like maybe 1 or 2. After the third pass, the ball was given away. So I wonder what Ray Jones. My point is, I asked him, why? I know my conversation with Ray Jones is like, why haven't you taken on a new challenge? Why don't you've been in a national program? You've been in national at the highest level. Why are you still with these players that are not really technically sound? Why? He says, my heart and soul is with Devonshire Colts. Okay. All right, yeah, okay. Yes, it is. But what are you going to do? Where do I see progress in there? And I didn't see it today. You could see with Paget, and I'll go on about Paget. I'm going to make this quick. Once Antoine comes on, there's Dion Starwood and there's Shakir on the left. Paget ain't going to, if I can figure out, if you stop the balls coming over the top for them to get to Mr. Russell, to get to Starwood, and to get to Shakir, then Paget is not the real deal yet. But Devonshire Colts couldn't even figure that out. So no. Devonshire coaches, they are where they are. They lack quality. My point is to, sir, again, asking Ray Jones, what will you do next? I mean, I think you should try and give yourself another chance at coaching at the highest level, being in a national program, and see what else you could do. Take on another team. Take on another team.
Mhm.
That's my point about that's how I feel about that. The Devonshire Colts.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, there you go.
just like Maceo is not the coach. It's not gonna happen. So
No, it's
Maceo
funny
looking at
because, I mean, no, Earl and Maceo, let's be honest. Look, I sat down and watched. Now, after the game, he was sitting down with all these 20 players. He was sitting down and talking. I could see him in discussion. Hey, what does that mean about quality? He's, I'm going to be serious here. So you're there and you're talking to players after the game, which I know you should have lost, right? But why stay there? Like, again, Maceo, and it's up for discussion too. When I asked Ray Jones, wouldn't you take a chance with somebody else? Wouldn't you try maybe do something else? Would another team need you? Besides Devonshire Colts, and I guess he didn't. He was like, anyway, we know what that's about.
I think you had a question to ask me, Earl? Or?
No, I was going to ask you about Robin Hood getting over the line. I mean, sorry,
Patrick,
getting over the line.
I think Antoine would have gave himself a challenge today, right? I think that Devonshire Colts would have been a proper challenge. Whereas Antoine and Punchy told me he didn't start the game. He came on, so he'd have gave himself a challenge from a coaching perspective. And then he'd be smart enough to read the situation to see where he had to inject himself, to get the win. So it's like, can I give myself a challenge where I get this win without having to be on the field? And the answer was probably no. You have to be on the field to impact the win, right? You have to be on the field to impact it, and that's fair enough. That's a fair enough to see and measure where his club is, where his coaching is. I think he would have been reading the circumstance. Antoine would have been reading the circumstances right. Whereas a club like Devonshire Colts are going to bring probably the best game in the FA. They're going to bring their best game, and I'll challenge myself against that best game. But again, Devonshire Colts, this era of players, I mean, last year, the era of players that he had last year, if you remember, they beat North Village, was historically for the last 15 years being called in the golden generation. This was Devonshire Colts, Ray Jones's golden generation of players. And now we have to ask ourselves, if this is what a golden generation of players looks like, is that really good enough? That goes back to my thing. Are we actually raising capable players? And if we're not raising capable players, do we have capable coaches? Because that's who raises them. Do we have capable clubs? And our clubs are going to self-reflect. Do we have a capable league? Are they going to self-reflect if we have that? No, they're not self-reflecting yet to say it's not the players, it's our structure of football. We're not self-reflecting just yet.
Yeah. And that final match, the final match earlier today was Hamilton Parish defeating Robin Hood 4-1 at Wellington Oval. We all looked at this particular match and we know the struggles of Robin Hood. But let me ask Maceo, what does this do for Sergio and Hamilton Parish's confidence, having beaten Boulevard last week? Now you're beating Robin Hood in the FA. What does that do for that whole psyche of the club now?
Well, I think Sergio is measured as to where his club's at. I don't think Sergio. I actually talked to Sergio. He's not going to get ahead of where he knows football well enough not to get ahead. He would know how his players reacted in training, reacted in games, and to see where they standard of. He came from a club like North Village where he could see a standard of what it takes to win. So I don't think he's getting ahead of himself, and this has been a good measuring season for his players. while he's got players that are capable of Premier League standard, not capable of winning, is now a mentality, a certain thing to win. So the FA Cup and making a good push in the FA Cup could be good for them. They have to be considered contenders. It would be interesting who they get next. They have to be considered contenders for the FA Cup. And it'll be interesting to see how they measure themselves in this FA Cup, right? And if they can get an FA Cup underneath their belt, that bodes well building into next season, you know. And I've been informed about some social media stuff that Parish is doing, some community stuff that they're doing within their club. So they seem like they're trying to build something that aids into football, right? So we'll see if that effort is good enough.
And Punchy, a Robin Hood team who have now gotten some other players to join the club. What's your thoughts on where they go from here? Because they've got 1 point, you know, and they're going to want to at least get a victory under their belt before the end of the season. So your thoughts on Robin Hood?
It's a perfect example of perfect progress in terms of where they're going, what's going to happen there. Then you got, remember, you got a lot of those young players at Robin Hood that are overseas. And I just see them going to probably languish where they are. They're going to be where they are now is where they should be in terms of the quality and what we know about them, the best young players overseas. So what do they have? What do they have as a backdrop? What do they have? A backup, and they don't have it. There's no substance there now. You know, after the hype is gone, once you check the reality of Robin Hood, like we're talking about Boulevard, the reality of them, like a Wolves, well, where do they go? And I think what's going to be so good to understand it, because I think Robin Hood will be demoted. What will happen next? The future. And then Dante is gone, you know, so what is the future for Robin Hood? The junior program, what's that like? I don't know what's going to happen with that. I feel bad because they really did, you know, a couple of years ago, last year, year before that, they were such the progress under Dante, but he had at his disposal good players. He don't have that at his disposal now, and so
the progress was under Carl.
I don't see what's going to happen there. I think they're going to be in trouble for the next couple of years.
Well, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at our picks, and we have to pick the player of the week from last week's games. We'll be right back.
It seems everyone knows someone who's lactose intolerant or just avoiding dairy products. And fortunately, there's a growing array of delicious and nutritious alternatives. Pacific Natural Foods have been doing things their own way simply and sustainably for over a quarter century, making non-dairy beverages with the finest possible ingredients right down to the packaging. Try Pacific Natural Original and Vanilla Hemp Milk and Almond Original Plant-Based Beverage, all sweetened or unsweetened, and low-sodium organic vegetable or chicken broth. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, you know, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Well, last week there were two matches that were outstanding, and they were the Boulevard Hamilton Parish match, which we know Hamilton Parish won that 2-1. I took a draw, Punchy took a draw, Maceo and Coach Kita took Hamilton Parish, so they both gained an extra point. And then the match between, who was it? Oh, Somerset Eagles and Devonshire Colts, where Devonshire Colts won that 5-0. Punchy, Maceo, and Coach Kita all took Devonshire Colts. I took Somerset Eagles. They all got an extra point. So it finished at, I had 5 for 80. Punchy had 6 for 75. Maceo had 7 for 76. And Coach Kita had 7 for 74. Now we go into this week. The Tough Dogs St. George's. We all took St. George's, and St. George's won that 11-1. Footy Kings and North Village Rams. We all took North Village Rams, and they won that 2-0 after extra time. Young Guns and Boulevard Blazers. We all took Boulevard, and we know that Young Guns won that 4-2. Wolves and PHC, we all took PHC to win that match, and they did so 8-1. Hamilton Parish and Robin Hood, we all took Hamilton Parish, and Hamilton Parish did defeat Robin Hood 4-1. Devonshire Colts and Paget Lions, we all took Paget Lions, and Lions won that 2-1. And Crossroads and Dandytown, Punchy, Maceo, and Coach Kita all took Dandytown. I took Crossroads, and Crossroads won that 3-2. So as it stands, without the result of Somerset and Devonshire Cougars going on right now, we know that at Somerset we're leading 1-0. We all took Devonshire Cougars. I have 6, and Punchy, Maceo, and Coach Kita have 5 thus far. So now we get into next week's games. This one here is one for you, and we're going to start with Punchy. Crossroads entertain Hamilton Parish.
Whoa, that's a little, yeah. Yeah. You know what? You know something? I don't know. I think that both teams are coming off good results.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that with Gumbo, I'm gonna go with Crossroads for the year to win.
Okay. Maceo?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting matchup. I think that's the match I'll attend this week, because it's going to be interesting, because I think both of the coaches, after rocky starts, they're wrestling in their changing room. They're getting the players to implement what they want them to implement, the style, to get the results. I actually think Hamilton Parish has got about a quality player, and I think that's going to show up. Parish is going to match Crossroads from organization, and because Hamilton Parish has got about a quality player, I think they're going to win that game.
We're taking Parish.
Taking Parish, yeah.
Okay. I'm actually thinking that the two teams leading goal scorers will score. It's what the supporting cast can do. And I'm going to actually say that this one here is going to be a draw, because the two teams are playing right now a lot of confident football. And I think both coaches will look at it and not want to give up anything. And that's why I'm going to take a draw. Okay. Maceo. Somerset Trojans and Devonshire Cougars.
Oh boy, yeah, Devonshire Cougars. Devonshire Cougars. I'm going to pick Devonshire Cougars. They're not gonna. It surprises me a bit that Somerset Trojans can turn on the tap for the FA and up 1-0. It surprises me the ability to turn on the tap. But
hey, they're trying to bring Silver City back so they can win the cups and not the.
Trust me. If they come out of this, but just think about that. The type of season that they're having in the league and the consistency, they come out of the season with 2 trophies, and we don't find that alarming. We don't investigate. Wow, they can come out with 2 trophies. They can turn on that tap and beat everybody. But I know that's not good enough for Morty. Because he understands the league and he understands consistency, what that looks like. But I think in the league, Cougars would take them. So I'm going to pick Cougars.
Okay. All right. I've also picked Devonshire Cougars because of their league consistency thus far. Punchy?
I'm good with you guys on that. I'm good with Cougars because of the league consistency. Again, Somerset, these cup games, maybe they are right back to Silver City. Only for cup games, though. So even this game is Somerset at home. Am I all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They played them up Somerset already?
No, I think
this is the FA game.
No, this is league.
This is league game.
Well, today is FA. Today's FA. League is up Somerset.
This is a league game.
Cougars beat Somerset 6-0.
Yeah,
Cougars beat Somerset 6-0.
Yeah.
At
Somerset.
At Devonshire. Yeah. So this one's at Somerset.
So Somerset's home.
Yes.
Tonight's victory, if it's a moral booster, then I go for a draw. But I still think Cougars in the league are better than this, even though what's happening out there Devonshire right now, I don't know what the score is now. But I'm going to go with Cougars for this.
Okay. All right. Next game is Robin Hood and Dandy Town. Despite their season, I think they have enough firepower to beat Robin Hood, so I'm going to take Dandy Town. Punchy?
I'm going to take Town on this. Dandy Town reminded me of Northwest when we went through that terrible season when we almost demoted. Thank God for my brother, Devonshire Rec, they're late and they still talk about it. I just think Dandy Town's going through these trials. Wait, what happened to us? I know what happened to us. We were some of the players that were playing for the national program had been playing football all year, so we kind of burnt out. But I don't think this is the case with Dandy Town. I don't. They will. I know they will be Robin Hood. My thing is that what has gone wrong? Even though Macy has talked about it, the mentality out there. Then Dante is going out there. Is it that bad? Is the mentality there that bad? Or so even though I'm going to pick Dandy Town, my worrying concern is that they're not going to get demoted, of course, and they're not going to get dropped down. I'm sure about that. But will they come off any silver this year? No. No. But I'm still going to pick them to win this game, though.
Right. Hey, Punchy. It was said that Devonshire Rec had the first 50-meter pool when your brother took that dive out there for that penalty to save North Village.
Hey.
Still very hotly.
I never seen so much tears, man. So history is still on our side, but never been demoted. So, hey, kudos to Cal. Let's listen to it again. Cal, good dive. Good one.
50-meter pool at Devonshire Recreation Club.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Right. Robin Hood and Dandy Town, Maceo.
You know what? My football brain is having a conflict here. My football brain is conflicted because part of me says, well, Robin Hood will get their first victory against Dandy Town. Dandy Town's that, Dandy Town is that bad right now that Robin Hood can potentially beat them. But my football heart just can't. I can't go against Dandy. I can't. No, man. Dandy Town should be able to beat Robin Hood. They just can't. Just because they're named Dandy Town. Just because they're named Dandy Town, they should be able to beat Robin Hood. So
I'm almost ready to change my pick because you said that about Boulevard last week.
I'm telling you.
The exact same words you used for Boulevard.
Yeah, the exact same words. I know because the stubborn part of me still has some pride in these established clubs. That's the stubborn part of me. The stubborn part of me still says they're Dandy Town. And they should be able to win because they're named Dandy Town. Just because they're named Dandy Town They should be able to win just because they're named Anytime.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with that stubborn part of because I am a Bermudian too, right? I'm just as stubborn in it. Yeah. It's not like I'm not a Bermudian. The people think I'm not, but it's not like I'm not a Bermudian. So I'm going to go with Danny Tom.
Okay. Now, Punchy, you ready for this one? North Village take on PHC Zebras
At Bernard Park.
at Bernard Park.
You know, I probably get crucified as I know who's listening to the show. But on the road that PHC's on, I just wish we could fly all those youngsters back and have them for the game, and then send them back on a Monday night on the flight. And that's serious. That's the way I feel about this. It's serious, in all sincerity. You know, if you look at the girls at PHC's, in 2 games, they scored 12 goals. In 2 games, that's a plus. That's a plus. I'm gonna go with PHC winning, beating Norfolk on Sunday. Next Sunday.
Okay. Maceo?
I actually think it's going to be easier than we think for PHC to win this game. I think it's going to be easier than we think. I'm going with PHC. I can't see Norfolk stifling PHC on that small field. I can't see Norfolk working them on that small field. Yeah, Norfolk is. I know they're demoralized right now with the recent run of results. I know mentally they're demoralized. You know, they're going to be playing under pressure because this is the league, right? This is the league. This game is the decider of the league, and it's nothing about North Village right now that shows me they can play under certain pressure. But it is something about PHC that shows me that they can play under certain pressure. So I'm picking
because of the run right now, and the different people who are finding that. I mean, like Punchy said, PHC in 2 games has scored 12 goals. Paul Simons only has 4 of those goals, and they've got a whole host of goals from other players. So it's not just coming from one player. And I think that's the reason why I give PHC the edge in this one to overcome North Village at Bernard Park. Final game. Maceo, you're up in the Premier Division. St. George's Colts, Boulevard Blazers.
St. George's is gonna hammer them. I'm expecting Boulevard people to listen to the show and respond. They're not even responding like that. The players are not even responding. I give kudos to the teams that respond to the criticism. Like I go to the games and they respond to the criticism, and I like that. I like that they respond to it. Boulevard's not going to respond. But yeah, definitely. St. George's. St. George's going to beat this game.
I hope they save some goals. I'm going to take St. George's as well because Boulevard right now are in a bit of a spot of bother and need to sort themselves out first off the field before they get back on the field. I think if there is a coaching change, I think some of those senior players do return, and I think they could salvage something of pride for the season. I'm not sure if they'll be able to survive, but some pride in the season. So I'm going to take St. George's for this match. Punchy?
I'm gonna go with you guys with this. It's not you don't turn this around. Even the senior players come back. They don't turn around overnight. No. With St. George's emphatic win the other night. They're that close for me. Just think about what they're trying to achieve down there. What St. George's. They're close to probably being outside of being beaten by PHC, which I'm sure they will correct what the problems was against PHC. But I just think that St. George is going to take care of Boulevard. And mentally, they're in the right spot. They're in the right place. So for me, St. George is going to win this game.
Okay. Now we move to the first division. Island Rangers take on Devonshire Colts. And we remember the first game of the season, Island Rangers defeated Devonshire Colts. But the two teams have kind of late, their seasons have been going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take Devonshire Colts for this one over Island Rangers. Punchy?
Where's the game played at, Earl?
It's going to be up Somerset. Up Somerset.
Somerset?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I think Island Rangers. I'm not gonna take Colts for this one. I think Island Rangers is gonna be ready for them for what I saw for Colts today. I'm gonna go with Island Rangers for this, especially if the game's up in Somerset. Definitely.
Maceo?
Yeah, I think Island Rangers has shot the lid for the season, man. Colts is gonna take this one.
Okay. All right. Punchy, Social Club, Somerset Eagles.
That's hands down Social Club. Eagles have come to the end of the road. They won that one game, and that is it, which we predicted. But it's no way. Social Club with what they're trying to achieve this year. It's gonna be. I'm gonna let Eagles shows up with a team.
We'll see.
So I'm putting Social Club to win.
Social Club. Okay, Maceo?
Social Club for sure, man. Eagles going to show up. I hear that they like to go out and play. They don't have to necessarily win. They just like to play.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to take Social Club as well because I think they will continue their bid for one of the spots to be promoted with this particular game. Yeah, I'm going to take Social Club. Now, Maceo, here we go. Wolves and BAA.
So remember I said, I hope Wolves, after they take a thrashing against PHC, that they don't self-capitulate, that they're capable of not putting it in perspective.
Right.
Them losing against PHC and put that just in its proper perspective.
Right.
So I don't think they will. And I think as a result, they'll lose this game.
I think a BAA.
Yeah. So I'm picking BAA.
I think right now, Andrew has these young people believing in their talent and their ability, despite being a lot younger than a lot of the teams they're playing against. And he has them well organized. So for that sake, I will take BAA. Punchy?
I'm gonna take BAA for this also. Wolves won't get over the hangover, even though you would think that they would show up against BAA with the talent that they have. But I just think that again with Wolves, they just need somebody in charge of that whole organization, not just the coach, that whole organization to take another step up. Remember, they used to have a good junior program too. And they had a good junior program too. So Wolves, no, they're gonna have the hangover from that thumping they got today. And I think I'm gonna pick BA to win this game.
Okay. The final First Division match, Paget Lions and St. David's. Well, I'm gonna take Paget for this one to stay in the hunt for that promotion spot. As we know, they are currently in third, but I think they have a game in hand. So I can't see them right now faltering. I remember St. David's took a point off of them just before Christmas, but I can't see it happening this time around. So I'm going to take Paget. Punchy?
I'm going to take Paget to win this one.
Yeah.
And Maceo?
Paget's going to remember they took a point off and they want to correct that. They don't want to correct that. I know Antoine Russell. I know this. They don't want to correct that. And send the message straight. So definitely Paget.
All right. Let's see here. What's this? North Village. Okay, hold on. We got. What is this? North Village picking PHC. Can't be Red Devils. Same guys pick St. George's to be PHC. Unbelievable. Now, sometimes you go with your football brain and not your heart. That's.
Protect. Hey, Earl. It's all to protect your heart, man. No, it's just honesty as to where they are, right? It's just honesty. It's just honesty where we feel that PHC is versus where we feel that North Village is, right?
Right. And the reality is PHC are running on all cylinders, and everybody knows that right now. Although I've been one that said North Village keep doing enough to get by each week. I just think that for this particular match, PAC are running hot right now, and I think they will, despite that little blip today where I say they didn't look like a Premier Division team at times in that first half, but to come away with an 8-1 win.
Yeah, but even today, when we go, let's say they didn't approach the game right mentally, but they was able to switch to still win the game like they won, right? So
Right.
it speaks to a mentality. It speaks to that, like they can self-regulate and self-correct. When you can self-regulate in the middle of a game like that, that speaks to championship form. And they deal with every circumstance. Look at the circumstance they dealt with Cougars last week by going down twice in the game. They went down twice, and they end up beating the game 4-2. Like that's just evidence. That's evidence.
Mm.
You know.
And while you bring up that game last week, in the runnings for Player of the Week is obviously Paul Simons, who scored 2 goals in that game for PHC against Devonshire Cougars. In the Somerset Robin Hood game, Justin Corday, an unbelievable strike. At St. David's, Crossroads, and North Village, Shea Brangman, scored, while Trey Ming and Justin Bell scored for North Village. Was also an earned goal in that match. In the first division, you had Rico Iris scoring 2 for Wolves against Southampton Rangers. Was 1 goal in the Social Club match, and it was BAA defeating Island Rangers 4-1 up at Somerset Cricket Club. So standing out for last week, I noted, because I watched the game, a bit of the game, how much Paul Simons makes a difference in that PHC team, able to hold the ball up, take on players, his strength. And I always admired him when he was playing for Crossroads as well. But he's just added another dimension to it with PHC and the ability to play the ball off of players and get it back and have opportunities to score. He would be my pick for Player of the Week. Your thoughts, Maceo?
Well, I mean, again, when we look at football and who, and not as in isolation, because I think people would think that I have it out for Kenny or Thompson or whatever. But let's talk about North Village. Let's talk about recruitment. PAC recruit Paul Simons. PAC let go of Trey Mean. This year before they let go of Sequoia Robinson, Antoine Russell, and maybe, 15 other players left PAC. PAC understood what they got coming through their junior ranks, what they've done, and they recruited a Paul Simons. So that's all relevant if you cross-reference to PAC to the rest of the league or North Village, who they recruited and who they let go, because that's part of football now, right? That's part of football. If you look at Boulevard, who they recruited in their coach and who they recruited in players, and where they're at. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. So let's look at that holistically. Definitely, this guy's been a game changer for PAC. The pressure that he puts on, the pace, the power that he has. I don't see him as a striker per se, but he's scoring goals in this league, is getting chances, is making good decisions. I think he's a far better player than a striker. I think is more of a person that can control a lot of the game. But he's working as a striker for PHC. He's working as a striker in this league. Creating opportunities. Huh?
My pick on that is, I'm sorry, Mace. My pick on that is that he's going to better, much more better organizations, run better players, and I'm glad that he made the decision to move on. And I wish some of the better players like him would make that type of decision. So you're seeing something about him that he has a real good eye for goal. Mm-hmm. Is he a striker? I don't think so, neither. But he has a real good eye for goal. He's sharp. His technical abilities, his first touch is good also. And so I would pick him over Paul Simons. And again, making a move like that, going to a much being around better players will improve you. It should improve you.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we will know how the league shapes up next week because we know first and second are playing each other. Third is playing a team that's kind of in trouble. So we'll see, and of course, and then fourth is also playing another team kind of in trouble as well. So we'll see how the league shapes up even more as we get down to the wire here in the second half of the season. Come after 5 next week, and when we come on at 6, we will know who's leading the league and who's put themselves kind of out of the race for a time period. And hopefully by then we'll know the FA Cup draw, Punchy.
Yeah. When is the FA Cup draw? When is the draw actually?
They haven't sent it out yet, so I don't know. I don't know if it's tomorrow. I don't think it's tomorrow.
Any score in the game of Devonshire Rack lately?
The last I got was Somerset 1, then the Devonshire Cougars 0. Yeah, that's the latest I have. So let me see if I can actually get in touch with someone to see if there is any update. And let's see if we do get an update before we go off, because it shouldn't be that much time left in that match. It should be late in the second half.
That would totally interest me if they could pick themselves up for FA, man. That would. If Somerset could pick themselves up like that, and trouble our Cougars, wow, that is so extreme. They're so extreme as to the ability to do that, and extreme from both sides, right?
To beat Cougars twice at Devonshire Rack in cup games.
At Devonshire Rack in cup games. That makes no sense of the notion that I hear that's Devonshire Cougars, or that's North Phillips, or that's PHC. That kicks that to the side. That makes no sense of it. I should probably let that go.
No, I haven't gotten any update regarding that that score as of yet. So unfortunately, we are unable to get a update out at Devonshire Rack, but we'll have the score up once the game ends, and we'll know who else is getting into that hat. But right now, we can tell you it is St. George's Colts, North Village Rams, Young Gun Sounds, PHC Zebras, Crossroads, Paget Lions, and Hamilton Parish in the draw. Well, an update from Devonshire Recreation Club. Score: Devonshire Cougars 0, Somerset Trojans 1. Justin Corday scored in the 29th minute. So we've still got time left in that match. But as you said, Maceo, what would that look like? Devonshire Recreation Club lose twice at home in cup games to Somerset Trojans.
Yeah, again, deep dive. I mean, we got to go back. If that happens, we got to go back to a decision that was made when Mark Mills was out Devonshire Rack, when he was moving that team in a good direction when they won that trophy, and the changes that happened. We got to go do it. We should be able to do a deep dive in those type of decisions. Are those decisions now the right decisions to get you where you want, or they're not? We have to look at the relevancy of those decisions. And where's Mark Mills now? Mark Smith, where's he now? His outwork. LPA Andrew.
Yeah.
If they asked me, and that's not slighting Kwame, because I think he also has something to offer, because he was at the time he was at Danny Time, right? We're gonna look at all those things, not looking at these things in isolation. Look at them holistically. Because I thought Mark was moving Devonshire Rack in a good direction. I thought he was.
Update: Devonshire Cougars just scored. It's 1-1.
There you go. That Devonshire Cougars, man. Come on. It's Alterac in a night game, man. Come on. I still want to hold true to some of our values and traditions and our cults, man. It's still got to be meaningful, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Elijah Darrell just scored. Okay.
Good for him.
So both teams' leading goal scorers have scored.
What does this go to extra time or does it?
Yeah.
Yep, extra time.
Extra time.
Yeah.
And then
just like
replay.
North Village and Footy Kings. Extra time.
Okay. And then after that is a replay or they take that?
Yes, I believe this round is a replay. Or is it penalties? I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay.
But all that would have to be explained to the two clubs before the game started.
Yes. So
all the clubs. So
well,
we shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Gentlemen, thank you very much, folks. We'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. It's another edition of the Island Stats Football Show. Hold on. Yeah, we done our picks. So have a good night, gentlemen.
All right.